Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And today, talking about the big daddy of them all, The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So, before I get into it, you've seen my clickbait thumbnail, and I apologize for the cringe, but I'm making fun of other YouTubers who make clickbait thumbnails like that, and I think they deserve to be made fun of. So I was just fooling around and I made that, and I apologize. Um, but yeah, clickbait on YouTube is so strange. I admit I have made a couple videos that have clickbait titles, which, like, yeah, you want to get some engagement on your videos. The more engagement, the more people chat with you and interact. I think my last video was called actually the scariest book I've ever read, I think. And that was true. The Nuclear War by Annie Jacobsen was the most frightening thing I've read ever. It's not saying much because I don't really read horror or other types of literature like that. But there was that, and then I made another one called The One Book You Need to Read, blah, blah, blah. But I had a couple people comment on that video, and they're like, yeah, I thought you were going to spew some BS at us, but actually that was a decent idea. So what I'm trying to say is clickbait deserves derision. Uh, Even if you're, I don't know, if you have a lot of followers or not a lot, that's my opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But getting into The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, oh my gosh, this thing is so long. First of all, it's over 1,000 pages. Second of all, big hardcover. Third of all, there's barely any margins. At the top and the bottom, the letters go all the way. And you might think like I'm one of those book talk complainers, like, oh, there's too many words, I'm just skimming. But I am having this complaint because I just wish the book was shorter. I wish it was shorter. I did I enjoy the book? It's hard to say. I think these are my reaction thoughts now. I think the first 700 pages went very slow. I even had to order the audiobook from my library so that I could listen a little, like driving to work or at work, trying to just get some more pages down because it was going slow. And the audiobook is 45 hours. So that gives you another idea of how long this book is. But little context, I read a lot of Brandon Sanderson in 2021 and 2022. And I have Sanderson to thank for getting me back into reading, I think. Now, would some other author have done that in the same way? Sure. But I picked up Elantris in 2021 after graduating college, and I really liked it. And I just started reading Sanderson books that summer, and I had a really great time. So I've read Mistborn, all 7 of those. I read Elantris, Warbreaker, The Emperor's Soul, The Arithmetist. But yeah, that was all in 2022, and I haven't read any in the last 3 years. But a buddy of mine wanted to read Way of Kings. We had been talking about it for 3 years, and we jumped in. So that's my context for reading The Way of Kings. Now, here's my question to you, Way of Kings truthers. Like, what is this book about? This was 1,000 pages, and I could not even summarize what the book is about. It seemed like a prologue for the rest of the series, and even certain storylines, like, that wasn't a book length arc. Like, that was just some stuff happened, and it's just set up for later. I suppose we'll cut into spoilers now. It seems kind of hard to talk about the plot of this book without talking spoilers, so I assume a lot of you have read this book, but spoilers start here in case you're wary. But, alright, going to the plot, we have basically 3 main storylines. You got Kaladin, Dalinar Kholin, and Shallan Davar. And there's a couple other side point of views, and he throws in some random world building interludes as well. There's a 4th point of view technically. Seth? I don't know how to say that. He was pretty cool, actually. I liked him. The assassin who is like forced to follow the orders of his masters, and he's pretty OP, and he just kills everyone, and he feels crappy about it the whole time. So I liked that character, even though I didn't understand what he was doing with his lashings. I was like, is he whipping people? I don't know. But yeah, I was talking about the plot. How do we even talk about the plot? You have 3 individual stories, and one of them does not overlap. Shallan, and Dalinar and Kaladin's stories overlap on the Shattered Plains, where the Alethi are fighting the Parshendi in this convoluted game-style war that has devolved into battling for gemstones that appear in the middle of the plains, and both armies rush to get the gemstones when they appear. It was fine. Could have done without like 500 of the pages, but we all know Sanderson isn't a prose guy. It's really simple prose, and he tells you what's happening, and then he might show you what's happening, but then he assumes that you didn't understand what he showed, and then he'll tell you, and then he might show you what he told you again in a different way, and then tell you the same thing for a 4th time in one paragraph, just so you get the point. That's why the book is 1,000 pages, because he thinks you're stupid. But other than that, the ending of the Shattered Plains story with Kaladin and Bridge 4 going to save Dalinar Kholin and his army after they were betrayed by Sadeas, that was cool. I enjoyed reading the last 150 pages. I ripped through it. Had a really good time with that. It actually made me want to go to the next book. So I'm like, oh my god, there's another 1,000. I think the next book is more than 1,000 pages. But yeah, the ending was fun. I liked Dalinar as a character. Adolin Kholin, Dalinar's son, he was okay. It seemed like we didn't need his point of view at all, other than to show how people viewed Dalinar. which I thought we could have done without Adolin, even though he was cool. Kaladin, an interesting plot line with his slavery arc and drumming up the troops of Bridge 4 from being depressed and suicidal to working together as a team, yada, yada, yada. It was an okay storyline. I think Kaladin was a whiny piece of work for most of the book, and I'll explain that. I also think that we didn't need 75% of the Kaladin backstory chapters. Those were wearying as well. I think we could have just sprinkled in a few more brief backstory chapters and it could have been the same. I don't think we needed like maybe 50 to 80 pages on his backstory in total. I didn't count, but and the reason I think that Kaladin was whiny is because he's always like, oh, I'm a failure. I lost one person to these insurmountable odds. Like, I get that he's driven and takes everything to heart very seriously, but it was grating to just see this guy like, my one friend got an arrow in the knee. Like, I failed everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Like, whatever. We get it. You're lucky and you survive when other people don't. Or he's not lucky. Maybe he's got the gem power. Surge binding? Whatever. But in the end, it was cool when he was fighting the Parshendi, when Bridge 4 ran back to save the Kholin army. That was pretty sick, so I liked that. What else? Shallan Devar in Kharbranth. Yasna Kholin, cool character. I was surprised to see Sanderson as a Mormon writing kind of a compelling atheist character. I didn't like study Yasna's opinions because I was trying to get through the book, so I'm not sure if she was the most compelling. But I was surprised because Sanderson's a Mormon, and well, I don't know if that's kosher or not to write like that, but that was interesting. Shallan herself was the worst, obviously. Everybody would tell her how pretty and smart and clever and witty she was. And mind you, this happened throughout the whole book. People would just tell other people like, oh, you're the most honest man, or you're the bravest, or you're the whatever. And I would be reading that and be like, I don't agree. Like, you didn't write this person to be that way. You wrote them to be kind of cringy, and now you're just telling me how to feel about the character. So that also was one of the flaws that I found in this book. That said, it is an epic journey, and I see how many people love this, and I see how it could get better in some future volumes. I'm not sure of the exact sentiment of like which book is acclaimed more than the others. I think book 2 has the highest praise, but I just wish it was a little shorter. Wish Sanderson got to the point a little more, and I wish that he told us how to think less. But all in all, not the worst read. I had fun. I enjoyed discussing it with my friend, who he actually hasn't finished yet because he was busy. So I'm looking forward to seeing his thoughts as he finishes the book too. So yeah, I'm glad to have read this finally, but I really wasn't impressed. I liked Mistborn more, and maybe that's just sentimentality from 2022, and I don't think I'll reread Mistborn to try and keep them in my good graces. But yeah, that's it. The Way of Kings, Brandon Sanderson. Thanks for watching. Check out my Goodreads or my email in the description box below if you want to contact me or connect with me online. And yeah, have a good day.